I'm going to focus this afternoon on some of the good news in various sectors of the Nigerian economy, and possibly point to the direction that the Nigerian economy is going and hopefully will go. Only recently the President launched the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. He had referred to it in his speech, the budget speech in December of 2016, as being the basis for the 2017 budget. And the Strategic Implementation Plan, the 2016 Strategic Implementation Plan, was the basis for that ERGP, or the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. The plan has 4 key execution priorities. That is, 4 things that we think that if we can get right, will completely turn things around for the Nigerian economy, especially in terms in the direction of real growth with jobs. What are those 4 things? 1, stabilizing the macroeconomic environment. 2, delivering agricultural and food security. 3, energy sufficiency, that is, adequacy of power and petroleum products. And then improving transportation infrastructure. Driving through industrialization, through small and medium-scale enterprises. And of course, delivering an effective social investment program. That's just an addition. So we think that these 4 things, plus the social investment program, are absolutely important to do the trick. Let me just tell you some of the good news in some of these areas. Take agriculture. As part of our plan to fully implement the diversification of our economy, we expected at least 3 major results. The first is that we will not have to depend on one source of revenue. In the past few years, we depended solely on oil revenues. For most of the revenues from oil was used to import items which we could either make or grow. Food and refined petroleum products consumed most of our foreign exchange. So when in 2016 oil price crashed, and in our case we lost almost 60% of production because of the militancy in the Niger Delta. But we're hit by a triple crisis, or perhaps just in multiple crises. First, exchange rate went up. Also, the price of imported food, and a lot of our food is also imported. Many factories did not access foreign exchange, so that meant higher prices of their products, and in some cases shutdowns and loss of jobs. So for us, focusing on agriculture was key. And there are 2 good reasons. Agriculture and the whole agro-allied value chain is clearly the fastest way of creating jobs and lifting millions out of poverty. The majority of Nigerians are actually poor subsistence farmers. And we decided that to move them out of poverty, if you provided the right inputs, especially seedlings and fertilizer, equipment also, they could actually multiply their yield and make more money. So through the Resilience Anchor Borrowers Program, we were able to provide financing for almost 200,000 farmers in the first place. And in almost all of the cases, local production has almost tripled. We are now producing close to 4 million tons of rice. We were importing about 580 tons in 2015. Or by 2016, we're importing about 10% of that, just about 58,000 tons. A major problem before now was being able to mill paddy, being able to mill the rice. And of course, there were very few mills, but now there are some private sector initiatives. There's a major one, which will come up by the end of the year, to mill about 1 million tons, 10 different plants. And the government itself is providing through cooperatives about 200 mills of various sizes. And this, of course, as I said, will be used by the cooperatives. Now, if all goes well, we should be producing all of our own rice by the end of 2018. And if we're able to do so, it means that a substantial part of the foreign exchange that we spend now importing rice will be saved. Now, how did this happen? What happened to make this change? Improved rice seedlings was a particularly important thing, actually giving farmers rice seedlings that were of much better quality than before. And then just teaching very simple farming practices that would actually increase the yield per acre. Both Kebbi State governments and the IITA and Jigawa State also had seed improvement programs that were extremely successful, and was using their seed improvement programs and were able to give the farmers the type of seed that would really make a difference in improving their acreage. Also, using our disaggregated soil maps. Before now, we assumed that we could just use the same fertilizer in every state for every type of soil. But the Ministry of Agriculture developed a soil map which showed that in different states and in different places, soil content is actually so different that you need different formulations of NPK or different formulations of fertilizers. And using that and applying the right type of fertilizers in different states, we're able to actually increase hectare. So we have from 2 tons per hectare, which is the average that we used to produce, we are now doing 4.5 to 5 tons per hectare, and it completes 9 tons per hectare. So just improving farming practices, ensuring that we're able to get fertilizer, the right type of fertilizer to the places that they're going, and of course improve seedlings. We're able to do a lot more, and especially moving lots of farmers out of poverty. Because as I said earlier, most farmers, of course, just barely survive. Now, what we've also tried to do, especially in the area of wheat, is that we're trying to be self-sufficient in wheat production as well. Now, that hasn't been as successful as rice. The target is 2.5 million metric tons of wheat, but now we're doing 300,000. Now, we can do a lot better with improved seedlings again, improved wheat seedlings again, and we're working on developing the right type of seedlings and also importing the right type of seedlings for wheat production. But we think that we can hit our target of 2.5 million in another 18 months, assuming that we get the right seedlings. Sorghum, we are number 2 in the world today. We are the number 2 country producing sorghum. Maize is one where we would have done much, much better. But we've had 2 problems. One is the so-called armyworm, which destroyed a lot of plants, a lot of our maize plants across the country. But more importantly, we have simply not done enough in terms of producing wheat or allowing acreage for wheat. And for maize, it just hasn't been enough. A lot of maize that should be grown in the southwest, very few people are growing maize in the southwest, of course. Few people are growing maize here in Lagos, very few are growing maize in many parts of the southwest, where you have a lot of poultry, by the way. And poultry, of course, suffers when you don't have enough maize. So we haven't done particularly well in maize. But grain production generally has gone up. Grain production across the country has gone up and has become extremely lucrative. We now have huge quantities of Nigerian grain moving, especially to the northern borders of Nigeria, all the countries in the northern border. Now that itself has created some problems, because it means that there is a shortage of grain locally, because there's so much importation, there's so much export of Nigerian grain. If you look at some of the markets, the Tawano market in Kano, the Maitagiri market in Jigawa, Lela, in Sokoto, and all of these markets, these are places where people come from the northern Africa, from the northern borders of Nigeria to buy Nigerian grain. Now, why has that become the case? Of course, with our currency being weak, it means that exports are actually cheaper, so we can actually export more. Now we're exporting more. And that's the whole idea anyway. That's one of the advantages of having currency that value, that you can actually export more. But when you're exporting more, you must of course produce more, especially because we need a lot of this for local production. The next phase of our agricultural push is in the area of plantations, tree crops, cocoa, cashew. We also, of course, sheep butter is also very, very popular. Coconut oil, by the way, is extremely expensive. It's even more expensive per liter than oil, than petroleum. So for those who want to become very wealthy, I think that coconut oil is somewhere you should be looking at. 1 liter of coconut oil is 7,000 naira. 1 liter. Now, if you consider that 1 liter of petrol, even refined, is about 145 naira, you know, if you can somehow make coconut oil, you can really become very wealthy. Sesame seed, soya bean, pineapples, bananas, and of course cassava. Cassava, we are one of the largest producers of cassava in the world. But we are now, of course, looking at ethanol and starch, which have in very high demand. And we're looking at how to develop our capacity for processing cassava for ethanol and starch. This year, a major revolution took place in the production of fertilizer. Before now, we were importing most of our fertilizer, and we were paying somewhere in the order of about 10,000 and sometimes even higher, 12,000 naira for the fertilizer. But this year, things improved dramatically because the presidential initiative on fertilizer started with an attempt to resolve the problem once and for all. Part of what that presidential initiative did was to give a loan, a concessionary loan, for working capital to Nigerian-based blending plants. So Nigerian blending plants had a working capital loan so that they could begin to blend fertilizer. But the thing with fertilizer is that we have a substantial part of all that is required we have locally. But phosphate we have to import and potash we have to import. So we struck a deal with the Moroccan. We now have a government-to-government deal with the Moroccan government, which also has some private sector facilitation. And we're importing phosphate directly from the Moroccan government and getting potash from Europe. We are now able to use our own blending plants to produce fertilizer at a very cheap rate. As a matter of fact, we are able to deliver fertilizer today to farmers at 5,500, almost half of what it used to be.